The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Kalshi. Make real money predicting sports. Kalshi is available in all 50 states. And you get $20 for free when you sign up with the promo code SGPN. So once again, that's Kalshi, promo code SGPN for a free $20 at sign up. And welcome, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. Currently Friday afternoon, January 16th, around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the final matches in Adelaide and in Auckland. In other words, the final episode before the Aussie Open. So we're going to get into the two matchups taking place on either late Friday night or early Saturday morning, Either way, we'll get into those two matches in a second. Before we get into the actual recap, though, of the semis, a reminder that we have a couple ways to support the show. Like, subscribe on YouTube. And a reminder, you can also find the podcast on Spotify or Apple if you want the audio-only format. But either way, support the show, like, subscribe on YouTube, leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. Both ways do help the show grow. Plus, a reminder, check out the merch store. A lot of great discounts right now. We have one for the new year. And, for example, New Year, New Gear. The SGPN merch store has a bunch of new items for the new year. And right now, get 10% off everything in the merch store with the code 2026. So check out the Tennis Gambling Podcast stuff. We have sweatshirts, we have t-shirts, we have mugs, different colors. Very comfortable. Think you'll enjoy the options we have. But a reminder, use code 2026 at checkout for 10% off everything in the SGPN merch store. So, starting off with a recap of what happened for the Lock and Dog picks last episode. Overall decent, but did not get the sweep for the Lock. We ended up losing. Had a two-pick parlay with Giron money line and Shelton money line at minus 121. Giron did end up winning, but Shelton lost in straight sets to Baez, so that ended up working out as a loss. But nice and easy win on the Dog. We had Makic to win the first set and the match against Munar. Said before that Munar has been really bad in first sets, and Makic destroyed him as he won in straight sets. Never in doubt, plus 114. Nice win there. So basically a chop. Look for a sweep here on this episode. Now, it was a bit weird. We had to skip the semis episode because it got rained out for the quarters. So we had to basically pivot off of an episode because they did the quarters and the semis on the same day. So we had to skip the actual quarters, the semis, but either way, I will recap those matches right now. So starting off with Adelaide, you saw Makic, who ended up beating Paul in 3 sets. Fun match, lost the first set, came back and won the next 2 sets. A nice comeback win for him. And Humbert was able to beat Fekina in an absolute war as he ended up winning in a final set tiebreak. So a very fun collection of matches there in the semis where Makic and Humbert did get the job done in 3 sets. Now, as for Auckland, you ended up seeing Mensik, who ended up beating Morozin in 3, and you ended up seeing Baez, who continues the hot run, undefeated so far this season, beat Giron in straight sets, only dropped 5 games in the entire match. So less drama than we saw in Auckland, but still pretty fun, or in Adelaide, but still some drama, as Mensik did go to 3 sets, but he won 6-1 in the third, so it was pretty straightforward, and Baez was able to bury Giron early and often as he won in straight sets. So once again, the 2 matches that we have for the final, in Adelaide, we have Humbert taking on Makic, and for Auckland, we have Baez taking on Mensik. Now, to get into the recap of our outright picks, overall, not a great week for us for the outrights, but that can change very quickly because we do have one person who made the final in Adelaide. We got the long shot. We got Makic at 16-1. So Makic can definitely help save our basically week and then some by getting the job done as an outright at 16-1. If he does, we made some serious profit. So if you end up having Makic, you can either hedge or let it ride. But either way, the line's pretty close with him and Humbert. But we do have somebody from an outright who's in the final. Makic at 16-1 can still get us a nice outright win at a very good price. So moving on into some of the news worth talking about around tennis. I saw a tiebreaker between Ruud and Federer on Rod Laver, and Federer won. So congratulations to Federer. Yes, I know Ruud was not fully trying. Still fun to see that Federer still has something in the tank at this point. But either way, a point is a nice job by Federer to give the fans a bit of a show, and he was able to beat Ruud in an exhibition tiebreak. Now, besides that, Alcaraz is being pretty quiet about the Ferrero coaching exit. And according to some quotes, he said that they just decided to do it. He said, quote, I'm just having plenty of confidence in the team that I have right now. Practices have been going really well. I'm just feeling well. And I'm excited about the tournament to begin with my team that I have right now. So, yeah, he really didn't explain why. He said internally we decided to do this. We closed the chapter mutually. We're both friends, good relationship, etc. So Alcaraz really did not touch upon why he decided to let Ferrero go, which I find interesting. I'll go a bit more into detail on that in the next episode for the Aussie Open preview. But Alcaraz really did not fully address what happened, and he kind of deflected it, which I found pretty weird. So either way, point is Alcaraz about to get ready for the Aussie Open with a new coaching staff for the most part. But either way, point is he didn't really touch upon why Ferrero and him split, which I found pretty fascinating. But other than that, though, nothing else to really talk about. We already recapped what happened in the semis. I was not going to recap what happened in the quarters and the semis because what's the point? But either way, you had a couple of fun three-setters, and you had Baez, who continues the dream run as he destroyed Giron, only dropping 5 games in that match. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for the recap. Time to go on into the actual preview of the 2 title matches in Adelaide and in Auckland. Before we get into the 2 matches, a reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Avo. So you want to make some money betting on sports with Avo. It's a great sports betting tool that helps you make a profit every time you decide to place bets with arbitrage and with plus EV opportunities, faster than the competitors as well. And if you are new to arbitrage, that's fine. They have video step-by-step guides to help you understand the concept and help you make some money. But if you want to check out Avo, once again, that is AVO. Go to avo.bet. Use the code SGPN for $18 off your purchase. That's avo.bet, code SGPN, for $18 off your purchase. We're also brought to you by Kalshi, a real money prediction market available in all 50 states. Trade tons of markets in sports, the NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, and more, plus trade props like first touchdowns. Besides sports, they have other options for you. They have politics, entertainment, and even weather. So check it out. And a reminder, if you are new to Kalshi, new customers get a nice deal with us. Get $20 for free when you sign up with the code SGPN. That's Kalshi, Kalshi, code SGPN for free $20 at sign up. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the semis. Time to go into the actual matches for the finals in Adelaide and in Auckland. So starting off with the first match on the card, we're going to go with Auckland first. For the schedule, just to be clear, the Baez-Mensik match starts at around 8 p.m., and the Adelaide match starts at around 10:30. So once again, or 11:30. So you do have a bit of a gap there between Auckland and Adelaide. So starting off with the Baez match against Mensik. Mensik's a decent favorite, minus 230. Baez is around plus 200. For the spread, I see minus 3.5 for Mensik, plus 3.5 for Baez, minus 132 on the plus games for Baez, and the over-under in games is set at 22.5. Now, for the head-to-head history, there is none, so nothing to talk about there. Baez, though, has been on fire so far this season. Starting off with the United Cup, he's been undefeated. He won all 3 matches there, beating Munar, beating Fritz, and beating Wawrinka. Showed up here, ended up beating Nava in 3, beat Brooksby, beat Shelton, and beat Giron. So all 4 wins have been against Americans, but he dropped the first set against Nava. Since then, he has won 8 straight sets. He has been on fire, and it has not been fluky. He has been destroying some competition. So nice job by Baez there, piecing his game together on hard court. For Mensik, he's been good, not as dominant though. Dropped a set to Medjedovic, ended up beating Pericard in straight sets, and dropped the set to Morozin after he had the bye in the first round. So the point is, Mensik, we know, won a 1,000 title last year on hard court in Miami. He is a top 20 caliber guy, still very young. We know Baez, though, did win a hard court title a couple years ago in Winston-Salem. So once again, we have seen Baez occasionally find form on hard court, and it appears that he has found it again. So the question is, should Mensik be this big of a favorite? I understand it. Having said that, I think Baez has been too good for this price to be fair, in my opinion. I think Baez is getting a good bargain. I think that Baez should be a cheaper price. I think Mensik should be around, in my opinion, minus 170. But I do think that 230 feels a bit egregious. Mensik has been good, but his serve, which has been his main weapon over the course of his career, it has not been as good in this event. Morozen broke him a few times. Even Pericard broke him once. Medjedovic broke him a few times. The serve has not been that great. So we saw Baez look sharp against Shelton's serve. I think Baez can find some breaks over the course of this match. We know that Mensik can struggle with his rally game. The unforced error count can get a bit high at times. The price feels too expensive to me at minus 230. I'll give Baez a puncher's chance. I think that this value is definitely on him. I think that you could argue that this should be a much lower number than around 2-1. I think it should be closer to 150 if I had to price it myself. But I do think the games have value. I like the plus 3.5. I think Baez keeps it close. I think he's able to hang in there and maybe even win it outright. But I do think that the 3.5 games does feel a bit too large of a spread for Mensik to cover. Give me Baez plus the games. I'll go for the over, though. I do think 3 sets is realistic for this one. The over 2.5 sets, just for reference, is available at around, I saw plus 140, so that is the best price available, which I think has some value. But once again, I'll go for the dog. I think Baez has proven, winning 8 straight sets, that he's dangerous. It is not fluky. And the fact is, with his return game against Shelton, he proved that he can neutralize good serves on these courts, which is good enough for me. Give me Baez plus the 3.5 and give me the over as well for this one. Moving on to the matchup between Humbert and Makic. A reminder, we already have Makic at 16-1, so we are already priced into one of these guys. But the question is, who do I think is actually going to win the match? Now, for the pricing, there has been some money coming in on Makic. Humbert is about minus 125. Makic is around even money, or plus 105. And for the actual spread, minus 1.5 for Humbert, plus 1.5 for Makic, and the over-unders at 23.5 games. Now, we saw Humbert have a marathon win against Fekina. We also saw Makic win in 3 against Paul, but that was the first match on the card. So the Fekina and Humbert match ended at around, I'd say, 6:30 a.m., so a little bit less time to recover, but then again, still a decent amount of time, finishing at about 6 a.m., and Humbert Makic is taking place at around 11:30. So still a decent amount of time off, basically 17 hours of recovery. I think Humbert should be fine. Now, they faced off before in Tokyo in 2024. Humbert did win in 3 on hard court. Humbert, though, has been good in the event. Ended up beating Otmane in straight sets, ended up beating Griekspoor in straight sets, beat Shevchenko in straight sets with a bagel in there, and then ended up beating Fekina in a war, but Fekina was in good form. It was a very fun match, went down to the wire, and Humbert is once again looking like a sharp player on indoor hard court. Now, Makic has been good as well. I ended up in the first round beating Duckworth in straight sets. Duckworth not great. Howells has not been good either. Won in straight sets there. Beat Munar in straight sets too, and beat Paul after dropping the first set as he ended up winning in 3. So both guys have been solid in the event, obviously, because they're here. I think Humbert's been a bit more solid based on eye tests for me. I know that he dropped a set and almost lost to Fekina in the breaker, but that was a very, very high-quality match. Makic, I do think, has a lot of talent. That's why we took him to win the event. But if you're asking who I think should be favored in this one, I think Humbert is a worthy favorite. Now, I do think the money is a bit interesting because it's been coming in on Makic, which I really don't agree on. Humbert was like minus 145, minus 150, and it dropped to 125. So I do find it interesting there has been a line move in favor of Makic. Then again, I have seen some line moves against Makic earlier in the event, most notably Munar, and we faded it. We took Makic to win the first set and the matchup plus money, and he won in straight sets. So I'm not blindly fading the line move here, but I am pointing out that we have seen some line movement in Makic matches, and the first one did actually not go according to plan. So I do think that the line move is interesting, but not really concerning to me. I think Humbert should win. I will point out that Makic has not faced off against a lefty in a long time. The last match he had against a lefty, I believe, was in Shanghai, and that was back in October. So a bit of a unique, I'd say, wrinkle to the opponent here, because Humbert is a lefty, and Makic has not seen many of them over the last couple of months. So I do think Humbert in general has won multiple hardcore titles indoors. Makic has won a title or two, but the point is I do think Humbert is a bit more of, I don't want to say a hardcore indoor specialist, but he's definitely at his best on this particular surface. I think that Makic is good. I think Humbert is very good on the surface. Good enough for me. I think Humbert wins. Now, I think it's going to be close, though. I don't see it being easy. It might go 3 sets, but I do think that Humbert, with the extremely unique play style and with the comfort that he has in this environment, I just think will be too much for Makic to handle. So once again, we already have Makic at 16-1 on the outright, but I do think he's going to lose. I think Humbert ends up winning, and it's a pretty decent hedge at minus 125. So if you want to hedge it, you can win basically like 7 guaranteed units if you want to. So once again, you can hedge it if you want to, partial hedge, etc. But either way, I think Humbert is going to win. I think it will be close. Maybe it goes 3, but Humbert has been playing some great tennis, and I think it will be too much for Makic to handle. I'll go for Humbert in this one. Anyway, to wrap it up for the breakdowns, time to move on into the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, a reminder the broad sponsor, Arnold Fantasy. So play pick'em entries, chance to win 5,000 times your entry. Also check out the playoff magic they have for all NFL playoffs along. Every playoff weekend, open the app, see what promos are waiting for you. And a reminder that they have a new offer to customers. Play just $5. It's $75 bonus funds when you sign up with the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. They've been great this NFL season, especially on props. And a reminder, you can also use them for different sports. They have golf, they have college basketball, college football. If you want some thoughts on the national title, check them out for models. They can help you with the model building process or just use their picks immediately from the models for different sports. But if you want to try it out, you can either build your own model from scratch, copy one from the leaderboard that they have, or let Rhythm's house model give you plays that they like in general. But a reminder, if you want to check out Rhythm in a premium setting, use code SGPN25. We download the app. That's Rhythm, RATHMM. Get the app for 25% off your first month. That's Rhythm. Use the code SGPN25 for 25% off your first month at Rhythm. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the preview of the 2 title matches in Adelaide and in Auckland. Time to run into the lock and dog picks. For the lock, and go back to Humbert, money line at minus 125. I just think that he's playing better tennis right now, and this line does feel pretty cheap. Now, Makic has not been good against lefties lately. He's lost 2 of his last 3 against lefties, and he's not faced a lefty since October. So it's been a long time since he's had this particular opponent or style of opponent. And I do think that Humbert will hit the ground running. He's been a fast starter in the event, and I think Makic will have to adjust to life against a lefty, which might take some time. But the fact that he has not been great against lefties anyway, and it's been a long gap between lefty matches, I do think is pretty interesting. And I think it might matter over the course of this matchup. But Humbert did beat him on hard court back in 2024 in the only meeting. It was a 3-setter. It was close, but Humbert did win. I think Humbert will look sharp again. I think he looked great against Fokina, even though it went to 3 sets. I think he looked better by comparison to Makic in the 3-set battles they had in the semis. Give me Humbert money line as my lock for the show. For the dog, I'm going to go to a prop in the Auckland match between Baez and Mensik. Give me the over 4.5 combined breaks at plus 105. Now, each of Mensik's last 4 matches have had a lot of breaks. We know Mensik is generally a good server. Recently has not been that great. Each of the last 4 matches have had at least 5 breaks. So Mensik has been returning well. He broke Pericard many times. I believe he broke him 4 times, which is very tough to do in a 2-set match against an elite serve bot. But he was able to break him. We've seen him get broken before against Medjedovic, and even in the last match against Morozin, his serve was not unbreakable. Baez has been returning well. He broke Shelton a couple of times. We know that Baez is also pretty short, not a great server in his own right. Each of Baez's last 3 matches have had 5+ breaks too. So the point is both guys have been involved in a bunch of break-filled matches, and the fact that you're getting 4.5 at plus 105 I think has value. I said it could go 3 sets. There is a chance maybe you get there anyway if you end up getting just a bunch of poor service games. But I do think that 4.5 is a pretty generous number at plus 105. 3.5 was like minus 160 something on Bet365. But I did find 4.5 on Bet Rivers at plus 105, so I'll go for that as my dog for the show. So once again, the lock and dog picks here for the Adelaide and the Auckland finals. The lock's going to be on Umber moneyline at -125. For the dog, give me Baez and Mensik combined breaks of serve over 4.5 at +105. So going to wrap up the show. Back once again for the Aussie Open. A reminder, we have 2 episodes for the Aussie Open. We have the women's preview and the men's preview. So check out those episodes when they come out over the next 24 hours. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.